Hello, teacher. Hello, class.
Hello.
Hello, guys. Well, we're filming videos about teachers and students moment around school and suddenly come across your class and stop by here for a while. Is this fine?
Fantastic. Welcome to our super class. Okay.
Lovely. You seem to be a new teacher here, so it's time for us to get to know you better, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself so we can get to know you well? Name, where you from, something?
Yeah, I can. Actually, the class today is about CV and resume. Tell a story about yourself. But in a CV, you just tell a timeline. But let me tell a small story. So I was born in a small country called Denmark. Okay. That's 64 years ago. Okay. And I've always had the desire for education and traveling and learn something new. So when I was very young, 42 years ago, I left Denmark to start my overseas studying and career. So it took me to some 70 plus countries around the world. I took my MBA in the US. I have a master's degree from Copenhagen Business School, so I have a broad, diversified academic background. But more importantly, it also gave me nearly 40 years of business experience, international business experience, which has helped me a lot. I came to Vietnam first time in '96, which is 27 years ago. So I've seen a little bit of what has happened here. And I came back 2001. I stayed 12 years, and I left for Myanmar for 5 years, and I've been back here now for 5 years. I was in multinational corporations in management positions, but when I came back, I decided to turn my attention and focus on education, which I've always found very interesting as an educator. And today you see some of the learners, the young learners. So I started to focus on business education. That has given me jobs in quite a few universities in Vietnam, including RMIT, IU, UEF, UAH, and many of the. And I joined BCU about 3 months ago. It's my first class. So I am a new teacher, as you said.
And how do you feel when teaching here?
I feel very well here. The reason I approach your university, BCU, is number one, a friend of mine, he teaches at another university. He recommended here and he introduced me. But I found immediately the culture here and the way the university is much smaller than when I was at a big university. I wanted to have something smaller, something feel part of a family environment, something get me a bit closer to the students, get me a bit closer to the organization, have a little bit of saying in how we educate. And I'm very pleased to be here because I feel a good relation with the marketing department, with the academic department, with the students. It's like being part of a team, part of a family. So I appreciate that because, as you can see, maybe I'm not the typical English teacher. No, I'm sharing some of my experience with young students here, maybe for them to learn. And today we are talking about business career. So I want to share how I did my career. And I feel there's a good environment here for learning. So I appreciate that.
Do you consider a cross-border study program to be a preferable options for students, particularly those who wish to study abroad on a reasonable budget?
Yes, as I mentioned to you, I took my first bachelor and master degree in Denmark. I was living there, but I was very young. I was only 20, 21. But I had a quest for doing more. And I've always had a quest for studying and living, working overseas. So after some years in Africa and Middle East, I headed to the US, to California, and I took my MBA there back in 1987, actually. But to answer your question, yes, if you have the quest, the desire to open your mind to try something new, because studying overseas is not just studying, it opens some new doors, a whole new life for you. And today, part of the class today is a personal statement where you express where did you come from, where are you today, and what do you want to go in the future. And overseas education, it's not just to jump on a plane and sign up and then come back home. It's a new life. And it has to fit your personality. It has to fit your desire for what you want, who you want to be. But yes, it's an enormous bonus. I never regret it. And I never came back after 40 years. I'm still overseas. So I can highly recommend to students. But they need to plan, they need to prepare themselves mentally and in many ways to make that jump. Because sometimes they will not come back until many years later. And if it makes you happy, if you feel you get some values, studying overseas is a whole new life. But it's very rewarding, very rewarding. So I can very much recommend, and I'm more than happy to share with your students or our students how can they prepare for it, and what can they do while they are overseas studying, and how can they build on it. So I'm very happy to share my own background, my own experience.
Well, that's really helpful. And I'm sure all the students here and those who want to go to UK will really benefit from this.
I hope so.
Thank you for taking time to talk and give us information. Have a great day.
You're welcome.
Thank you, class. Goodbye.